Stay with me. In the next minutes, I'm going to give you X-ray vision for a pious lie. How the word karma gets stretched over cruelty like silk over a blade. You'll learn to catch the hinge sentence, they must have done something, that turns a teaching on cause and intention into a vending machine for blame. You'll see why victim blaming with a halo is so addictive. It flatters the safe, silences the harmed, and keeps power beautifully undisturbed. And you'll hear a test that can't be gamed. If your karmic story leaves the injured more alone, it is not Dharma, it's theater. The bait is tenderness. The switch is distance. A neighbor loses a job. Karma. A community loses rights. Collective karma. A child is harmed. Past life debt. Each phrase pushes empathy 1 inch further from the scene until there's no one left to help, only spectators nodding at cosmic math. The unspoken thrill isn't wisdom, it's relief. If their pain is deserved, my comfort is earned. Tonight I'll tear that comfort in half. Karma in the early teachings points to intention, satana, and its training. What you aim, reinforce, and repeat becomes your reflex. It is not a retroactive verdict stamped on victims, it's a demand on the living to make better causes now. The rest is branding, profitable, portable, and lethal where the cameras don't reach. Why am I rude about this? Because karmic explanations are often just administrative silence with incense. The office doesn't change, the policy doesn't move, but the language feels spiritual, so the ledger looks clean. If you watch to the end, you'll walk away with 5 phrases that detonate pious blame without starting a war, and a smell test that exposes karmic talk used to freeze budgets, cancel repairs, and bless delay. If you came for comfort, wrong channel. If you came for clarity that hurts first and helps later, take a chair. Compassion without contact is just PR for the self. Weaponized karma runs a simple, repeatable pipeline. Step 1, shock. Something breaks. Body, job, marriage, neighborhood. Shock wants meaning. It doesn't like open circuits. Step 2, story. Insert a narrative that protects the audience. Nothing random, there is justice. The story chooses vertical time, past lives, ancestral debts, over horizontal responsibility, present choices, policies, protections. Step 3, shrug, replace verbs with vibes. Instead of investigate, repair, compensate, we get accept, be mindful, learn lessons. 3 lubricants make the machine glide. Just world bias. The mammal insists the world is fair to stay sane. Karma gives that bias Sanskrit. Moral, luck, anesthesia. Outcomes feel like essence. Success smells like virtue. Failure smells like guilt. Audience protection. The farther you are from the harm, the cleaner karma feels. The closer you are, the more it rings like abandonment. Notice the choreography. Karmic talk surfaces after responsibilities would be expensive. If a factory poisons water, karma is whispered at the clinic, not at the board meeting. If an abuser holds rank, karma is invoked at the victim's bedside, not in the grievance process. If a marginalized group is targeted, commentators murmur collective karma on air while voting down every protection off air. Language buys time, time erases receipts. Then comes the aesthetic rinse. Candles, chanting, and a paragraph about impermanence. None of this is false. All of it becomes a diversion when it substitutes for nouns, names, dates, budgets, doors that should have been locked, doors that must be opened. Karma as cosmic weather is an alibi for people who control the forecast. The endpoint is an emotion that feels spiritual because it is calm, cool fatalism. You feel wise, above the fray. Meanwhile, someone below your line of sight is paying for your serenity with actual hours, pain, fines, pills. If karma was meant to wake us to causality, karmic laundering puts causality to sleep exactly where it could have mattered. Strip the incense. In the classical frame, karma equals intention enacted and reinforced. It is process, not cosmic bookkeeping, training, not sentencing. Effects land probabilistically through interdependent conditions. They are not moral name tags glued to foreheads. Confusing outcomes with desserts is doctrinal malpractice and wildly convenient for the comfortable. Two more confusions fuel the weapon: individualization of structural harm. We turn housing policy, policing, pollution, and payroll into personal morality tales. Should have made better choices. Temporal smuggling. We import past lives whenever the present would assign responsibility uncomfortably close to home. Past life karma appears in conversations exactly when present life causes point toward power. Even dependent origination gets twisted. The teaching maps links, contact, feeling, craving, clinging, becoming, action, result. The weapon version treats results as retroactive verdicts. Since it happened, it was meant. That is not Dharma, it's superstition with a graduate vocabulary. Dharma says, see the chain and interrupt it in yourself, in systems, in schedules. What about collective karma? It can describe how groups train habits, cultures, institutions. But the moment it is used to excuse harm, they drew it. It's not analysis, it's abandonment. Collective karma should ask, what did we build that made this predictable, and how do we unbuild it? Not, how do we spiritualize our distance? The precepts themselves betray karmic blame. Right speech prefers truth and benefit. Blame that isolates the harmed achieves neither. Right intention cultivates goodwill and harmlessness. Victim blaming installs coldness as a habit. Right livelihood forbids trade in harm. Karmic gaslighting is intellectual harm trade. Profit by telling the wounded their wound is a lesson. If your karma talk raises your status and lowers someone else's options, you didn't teach a Dharma. You sold a story that preserves your seat. Karmic gaslighting. The family, the Sangha, the clinic, the HR desk family version. A teenager is assaulted. An aunt whispers, some souls choose difficult paths to grow. The teen learns two things: pain is personal failure, and elders are unreliable narrators. That lesson metastasizes into silence. Sangha version. A senior student harms a junior. Leaders quote forgiveness and everyone's karma with everyone. Translation: we can't afford the truth. Please metabolize it for the brand. Clinic version. A patient on the floor hears mind-body connections deployed as insinuation. If you were more aligned, this wouldn't have happened. The clinician may mean well, the effect is corrosion. Instead of building scaffolding, aid, access, advocacy, the room installs self-surveillance. Watch your thoughts, edit your tone, earn care by being grateful. HR version. A worker reports harassment. The wellness deck slides in. Mindfulness resilience, compassionate communication, all fine adjuncts, none substitute for consequences. Karma talk appears as tone policing. How you describe harm becomes the issue, and how the company will score your fit. Influence aversion. A creator packages other people's losses as karmic case studies, a genre that pretends to teach while mining grief for engagement. Breath-sized insights, zero logistics, a comment section high on moral certainty. Karma is now content, the cheapest kind. No reporting, no repair, no risk. What each scene shares is displacement from the locus of change, policy, perpetrator, purse, to the locus of least leverage, the injured person's metaphysics. Gaslighting becomes a service. We kept them calm. The bill shows up later as distrust that won't heal and communities that self-censor because they've learned the altar doubles as a liability shield. When Dharma is healthy, it increases surface area for help. More eyes, more names, more doors. Karmic gaslighting decreases surface area, fewer witnesses, fewer nouns, more poetry. The former is compassion at cost. The latter is compassion at margin. Why the halo sticks, 5 psychological payoffs. 1. Control theater. Blame implies a master key. Do X, avoid Y. Terrifying randomness gets swapped for a manual. The price is empathy. The payoff is calm. 2. Status laundering. If outcomes equal desserts, your comfort proves virtue without receipts. You don't have to audit your luck, lineage, or laws. You get to narrate them as merit. 3. Distance anesthesia. The farther you are from the blast, the easier it is to call it a lesson. Karmic speech is often geography in disguise. The pronouns grow wider as proximity shrinks. 4. Cost avoidance. Real help is dull and expensive. Rides, childcare, court dates, cash. Karmic discourse is luminous and cheap. It lets you perform care while preserving budget. 5. Identity glue. Communities cohere by sharing moral explanations. We are the people who can read the universe. That glue becomes a cage when dissent is branded low vibration or undeveloped karma. Belonging wins, facts lose. Add platform logic and the halo hardens. Algorithms boost certainty, simplicity, uplift. Karma did it is snackable and safe for brands. We need a hotline, a lawyer, an audit is messy and litigable. So the former trends, the latter is throttled. Your feed becomes a museum of consecrated shrugs. None of this means karma is useless. It means karma, like any powerful lens, blinds when aimed outward to explain away instead of inward to interfere with our next repetition. When you feel that little thrill of cosmic tidiness rise in your chest as someone else trembles, call it by its name, self-soothing at another's expense. The telltale phrases and what they're hiding, everything happens for a reason. Translation, please don't change the reasons I control. Past life karma. Translation, the ledger you can't audit props up the ledger I won't open. Their soul chose this. Translation, my empathy is exhausted. I'm outsourcing it to myth. Collective karma. Translation, a fog machine for policy. At some level, they wanted it. Translation, I'd rather indict their subconscious than question our systems. It's a mirror for you. Translation, your reaction is the real problem because the actual problem would cost me. Be mindful, not reactive. Translation: maintain tone while I maintain power. This is a teaching for you. Translation: I'm promoting myself to guru because you made me uncomfortable. All of these can be sincere in trauma work with consent and care. All become weapons when they replace concrete verbs. Investigate, protect, compensate, punish, prevent. The grammar of harm has nouns and dates. The grammar of karmic cover has adjectives and atmosphere. So watch the mouth of anyone invoking karma. Do actions follow the explanation? Does money move, time appear, doors open, or does your conversation become a sauna, warm, steamy, and perfectly designed to make you forget the cold hallway where the forms are filed? If karma prevents an email, a report, a doctor, a ride, a call, it was never a teaching. It was a tranquilizer. Karma rehabilitated from verdict to vector. I'm not throwing out karma. I'm ripping off its counterfeit labels. A rehabilitated karma talks like this. Given these conditions, what next intention bends the line toward less harm? That question honors causality without sentencing the harmed. It moves the frame from archive, who deserves what, to architecture, what gets cheaper or costlier next time. Think of two timelines. Backward karma obsesses over deserts. It turns grief into courtroom drama the cosmos will adjudicate someday. Forward karma obsesses over leverage. It turns grief into design. Alarms, policies, skills, alliances. Backward karma makes spectators. Forward karma makes builders. Rehabilitated karma refuses to be solo. It pairs with accountability, who had power when causes were set, solidarity, whose costs were externalized, and repair, what will we do that the harmed can actually feel. It's allergic to abstraction when bodies are on the line. It's ruthless about nouns and friendly to questions that shrink nobody's humanity. Will people call this politics? Good. The Buddha didn't ban verbs. If karma can't survive budgets, it isn't Dharma, it's decor. Keep the poetry for breath and funerals. Use the causality for payrolls, permits, procedures. Karma, as Vector says, train yourself and your world so the default tomorrow hurts fewer strangers. Not romantic, completely spiritual. Here is the cut I will not soften. Karma is for the hand that can still choose, not for the throat that already bled. If your explanation makes the injured smaller and the powerful tidier, it is blasphemy in a gentle voice. Save the metaphysics for your mirror. Bring the nouns to the room. What do you get for staying? A compass you can hide under any robe. Ask, who benefits from this karmic story? What action did it prevent? What budget did it protect? Which stranger was erased to make this sentence sound wise? If you can't answer, you are not practicing Dharma. You are practicing distance. I won't ask you to burn your scriptures. I'm asking you to stop strangling the living with them. Karma, rightly held, is a demand on me to aim cleaner, repeat better, and build conditions where harm has nowhere cheap to live. Anything else is a lullaby for bystanders. I refuse to let karma be cruelty's lullaby. Keep your halos. Bring your receipts or get out of the way of people who are paying in blood.